There's no denying it. Gold is hot right now. Prices are soaring and experts are predicting even more to come. Bank of America is saying gold will rise to over $2,200 an ounce later this year. So gold is already a safety net for your hard-earned money, and now when everything is so uncertain, being safe really counts like never before. Noble Gold is offering a 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin for any qualified IRA or old 401k rollover. Terms apply. A solid silver U.S. Mint issued coin celebrating our national parks, free with every qualifying precious metals IRA or 401k rollover. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold Investments. 877-646-5347. NobleGoldInvestments.com. NobleGoldInvestments.com. Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers, John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another inspired conversation. And this one is always a special treat for us, and I know for you, our dear friend, soul brother, CEO and chief storyteller, visionary, Jim Gale, CEO of Food Forest Abundance. Thank you so much for joining us again today.
Well, thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm feeling so happy and so centered and so present. I might have heard this from your channel, and also the Ringing Cedars books that you and Christine, thank you so much for those amazing books. But I learned about meditating next to a beehive, and we've got beehives here. And it's my new favorite thing in the world to do, is just to sit next to the bees. And there's something that happens. There's some frequency, some resonance that comes through in which I get ideas, right? Everybody gets ideas, but people who allow their minds to be completely clear and free from the programming and the repetitive thoughts that often cause stress and dis-ease, we get more ideas. And that's the key to the future of our world, is let's start silencing our mind and bringing in new ideas.
I couldn't agree more, Jim. This is something we share so deeply. Another thing that we all share deeply is we have an awareness and have had an awareness for a while now for where the world is currently going, where the trends are going, and how destructive they are to everything that is natural. At the same time, we have this deep inner desire to co-create the solutions because they are available too. And I want to start today by asking you, you are sitting right now in the middle, in the center of the solution, which have changed. This solution has changed you over just 12, 14 months. And where are you, and how has the place that you're in changed over just a year or 14 months before we go into how everybody else can do the same thing you did?
So 14 months ago, the place that I'm sitting now was sand. It was inert, dead Florida sand. And I say dead because most of this sand came from an average of 10 feet underground. And how is that? Well, we dug a 4-acre pond in order to raise this land up out of the wetland. And that 4-acre pond was 25 feet deep. So all of this material that is the foundation of this food forest was underground, and there was virtually no life in it. In 14 months, we've done what many, many people told me was impossible. And here's what we've done. We've followed the permaculture principles. We've layered the mulch and the soil and the compost tea and the humigenics and the analemma water and the electroculture and the plants. And when you layer in, using these proven principles, layers of life, well, free energy is all around us. The sun and the soil and the plants work together to create an abundance of energy. It's divine, literally.
It is divine, literally. And what you did, and we've talked about this in many interviews, but for those who, it is a truth that is so simple, but it needs to be repeated because the lie has been repeated so often. So the truth that is so simple is you have taken the principles of nature and implemented them where nature had been pushed back before. And the truth is, anybody can really do that in your backyard, in your front yard, in a park, anywhere where there's a small strip of grass, you can do this, or just dirt, like you demonstrated. But you've felt deeply that this is the solution that needs to be amplified everywhere. So you are pretty much on a nonstop campaign trail of one, Mr. Jim Gale, and you're out there beating the drum and inspiring people of all walks of life to see the solution that can be implemented in all walks of life. What has transpired in just short period of time in the outside world, and how are people reacting to the solution that you're bringing?
So I'd like to start with Bill Mollison and David Holmgren and then fast forward. So these fellas, I don't know, a couple generations ago, started asking new questions. They started looking at the destructive world that we're living in and saying, why are we doing it this way? Right? And Bill Mollison especially, and now more lately David Holmgren, but everything that I'm saying now is basically a repeat of what has been said by many incredible people. The difference in today's world is that we're in the Great Awakening. We're in the ascension, the apocalypse, which means lifting the veil. So about 16 years ago, I learned that the world was run by psychopaths and or evil, which is probably the same thing. And that's when I got passionate about this. And for the first 13 years, people were like, yeah, Jim, that's kind of neat. It's beautiful, blah, 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 right? But in the last 3 years, the awareness as to what's possible, because the need for this has become so evident, it's now going exponential.
Jim, let's take an example. I mean, we will talk about the backyards. We will talk about everybody being able to get involved and self-reliant. But let's talk about, for example, prisons, right? Prisons are a massive industry in the United States. We have the largest prison population relative to the population in the world. And you're saying we can do much better, and these people can come out of their prison sentences much better. What do you mean by that?
We were approached by some folks that have that are in the Florida corrections business, and they heard about the inmates growing their own food, which we've been promoting for a while. And they said, come and share with us what you mean by that. How could we do that here at the prison? So we went to the prison and we started laying out what's possible. Now, this has been done. And this is the beauty of this. Nothing that we're demonstrating and talking about is a hypothetical solution. It's a demonstrable solution to the biggest real world problems. So in California, a few years back, they had a program where the inmates participated in a gardening program. And the inmates that participated for over 3 years, the recidivism rate, the reincarceration rate of these prisoners went from over 60% to under 10%. That's saved.
Unbelievable.
That's unbelievable. That one thing saved over $40 million for the California taxpayer. And even more importantly, it saved the crime. There was less crime when the inmates who have suffered trauma. In fact, I heard one stat that over 60% of the inmates are mentally handicapped or challenged in some way, partly because of the toxins that they ingest. So when the inmates can grow their own poison-free food and this is the big and, also learn the permaculture principles and ethics while they're growing food and creating life, it will change them. Their traumas will be relieved and they will no longer desire to harm other people.
That is so beautiful. And everybody experiences this. When you are in nature, and especially when you go deeper, when you put your hands in the soil and when you're a part of a process where you plant something and it starts growing and there's this relationship, more peace and harmony comes to you. It's just very natural. Gardeners are very seldom aggressive, violent people. It's just the nature of this. There's another aspect to this that you and I talk about a lot, that you Christine and I, and the people in our group talk a lot about, is There are many people out there who are advocating for freedom and sovereignty, and they are all tying it to a sort of status or political status, and they will teach you, and I'm not trying to discredit that at all, but true freedom and sovereignty means something different. It's a very practical thing. How has your own experience of becoming free and sovereign through this journey of having your space of love, of being self-reliant, how has that feeling, that consciousness around that subject changed for you?
I have come to the knowing, right? It used to be a belief system, right? There's all sorts of layers of BS. There's bad science, there's belief system, and there's bullshit. And now I have surpassed the belief system phase of this. And now I know with all of my soul and all of my being that it's time, and that we can, and not only can we, but like you said, it's logical to create this landscape and to live completely free is the only logical thing that I can imagine. To claim my freedom, to declare that I do not pay any slave taxes, that I do not ask the governmente for permission to do anything, is simply the only way I could be right now, because I know that there's something magical in the frequency, in the energy of faith and courage, of living this way, because this is a temporary experience. Jim Gale is a temporary experience. What we are is spirit in a divine circumstance. And I believe that our duty in this lifetime is to rise above the programming and to truly live free in every way.
And when people go on this journey, sooner rather than later, they ask themselves, what is it that I need on this journey? Not just what I want, but what I need, right? Those are the basic needs. And we can all agree that food, clean, wonderful food, water, shelter are some of the most basic necessities. And for too long, we have relied on a system outside of us that we have no control over to provide these things at a high price. Mainly our peace of mind and our soul. That's the highest price. But so the question is always, how can people from this programming that we've all been exposed to switch over to, okay, growing food is really not as hard as they told us it would be, and be what you always say, it's in the design, it's in the proper structure and planning. How can someone who has not been in touch with the subject switch over and become self-reliant?
So it starts in the heart and the mind, right? That's where it starts, is to declare the desire to be free. And once you have that desire strong enough, then it will simply happen. Once the why is enough, which is happening globally right now, as people are diseased and they're hitting rock bottom and they're suffering through the current narrative, as people say, I don't want this anymore, I want to be free. And then you decide to step into the freedom. That's the first step. And then say how, right? The why is strong enough. The how is everywhere. How can I do this? And that's where the permaculture ethics and principles, which permaculture means permanent culture, right? And it's a decentralized, 100% decentralized. Nobody owns permaculture. Nobody controls permaculture, because it's like saying we control God. We control nature. We've tried that. It's in the ultimate insanity, right? I mean, just look at this. Like this system right here, if we walked away from this living system and didn't do anything more, it would continuously produce more and more abundance the longer we stepped away from it. Now, here's the good part. As stewards of this land, of this earth, we can add design elements to it, right? We might want to put a blueberry bush right here. We've got a bunch of them over here, but I might want one right there. We might want more pineapple like over there. Might want more flowers. That's what the stewardship is of this land. And then the miracles happen, right? And this is a fun one. So the other day I'm walking through our certain part of our food forest, and we've got a cattle pasture. And the cattle were looking over the fence, and they saw all of our sweet potatoes growing along the syntropic rows. And they're like, screw this cattle pasture. I want to go eat some sweet potato leaves. So the cattle came, they had to walk around into the lake, chest deep, and walk around the fence to come into our food forest. And they started eating and pulling out the sweet potatoes. So now we're walking through the sweet potato lanes, and the cattle have done all of the harvesting for us. We're just picking up sweet potatoes.
And this goes back to our creation story in many myths, where it was declared that the animal kingdom would be there to serve us and to help us. And we have misused that term too, right? We have turned them into slaves rather than conscious helpers and conscious servants. So that's a beautiful way of seeing it and of putting it. Now, here's one fact. A lot of our wonderful viewers in the Deer Inspire tribe probably reside somewhere in suburban America, or they might reside somewhere in suburban Europe or suburban South Africa. It doesn't matter. But let's say, they have a backyard that so far they've kept a lawn, and maybe they put some pesticides on it. Probably our people less than others, but you got to mow it and you got to keep it in line, and then you got to do all the things over the years. What if they wanted to turn their backyard into a food forest that will feed them, not just be beautiful, but feed them? How can they get started?
Yeah. So everybody starts with the desire and then the design. Once somebody says, I want to turn my yard into a productive living system instead of a system of poisons and death, right? And this is the thing. When we recognize that the poisons are destroying our microbiome, our water, and our health, and then we take the poisons out, and then we transplant half of our lawns, the 44 million acres of lawn around the United States alone, into regenerative edible landscapes, then we start with the design process. And it's based on everybody's individual agricultural zone and the shape and dynamics of their property along with their desires. So we can create a super beautiful, fancy, edible landscape, or we can create the thing that's around me now, which is a jungle of food. Whatever people want, we can do it.
And Jim, two things. You used to, and I don't know if you still do it, but you were offering a free, no strings attached consultation. Do you still offer that?
We do. Our mission is to change the world. Our mission is to inspire a cultural shift. Mass adoption of taking the poisons out and growing food instead of lawns will reverse deforestation. Therefore, it will reverse mass extinction and cancer, heart disease, diabetes. It will end world hunger, and it will end tyranny. So with that said, we want to help everybody. We're now helping people in 53 countries and 50 states to grow food, and we're just getting started.
That's incredible. So Inspire Tribe, we put the link in the description. You can literally book a free consultation, no strings attached, a strategy session, and they will run you through your options and talk to you, and you can ask questions, which is absolutely incredible. Jim, thank you for that, for bringing that service. And then there's a question we get very often. Okay, so let's say your average American backyard. I want to turn this into a food forest, and you at Food Forest Abundance, you create the design for it. What's the average cost for such a design?
A design can start at around $700 or $800, and we're adding a new design for a guild design. It'll probably be around the $250 mark. And then we can design whole countries. We can design Freedom Farm Academies. In fact, I'll touch on the Freedom Farm Academy. It's a culmination of all of the things we've learned in the permaculture world about how to be 100% self-reliant and to create an off-grid homestead. That's, to me, that's where that's the culmination of everything. That's what I'm living, is a completely off-grid life where if the world shuts down, we have everything we need, including, and this is really important, we have now inspired many people in our local community to also grow food and to inspire their neighbors to grow food. Food security is when everybody eats, and we want everybody eating well.
Oh, that's so incredible, and we so agree on that. I want to quickly go back and give everybody watching and listening just a quick picture here. It is May of 2023 right now. Christmas is still a ways away, but what if you and your family decided this year, rather than going out and buying some plastic crap that's going to just disappear somewhere, and you say, we are going to make a present, an investment for all of us, and it's going to be the greatest gift we ever give to ourselves. And we're going to start with a design for our piece of land, for our backyard, whatever. Imagine the investment. Jim said it will start soon at $250, but $800, maybe a little more. But think about, that's nothing compared to what you're getting, because you're not just getting food, you're getting medicine. Let thy food be thy medicine, right? And this is so incredibly powerful. And then for those, Jim, who aren't quite ready to do it themselves yet, you've gone one step further. You said, okay, we'll plan it for you, we'll design it for you. And if you're not ready to do it yourself, we'll come there and we will install it for you, right?
That's exactly right. We have all of the services, the design, the install, and the long-term support. We're just getting started. We will never be done. I will be done when we know that we've won the war. And then I'm going to go traveling between the Freedom Farm Academies all over the world. And in a way, I'll never be done because I love what I do. It's pure joy doing this.
And the beautiful thing is, as we always say, this isn't just for families. This is for organizations. This is for prisons. This is for orphanages. This is for your company, your church, anywhere where there's just a little bit of land, we can turn it into a fruitful food forest. Now, Jim, I got to ask you something. As you spend time at Galt's Landing here at your headquarters in the food forest, aside from spreading the message, how much desire do you have and need do you have for AI, for technology, and for, all this artificial stuff?
Well, there's AI and then there's real I, right? The big I, the divine God, nature I. That's the one I like to play with. Now, do I appreciate the fact that we can do this and communicate with tens of thousands of people? Absolutely, I do. I'm not against any of this stuff, but I'm definitely for going back to natural systems and taking out the force and violence, right? That's the problem, is people use these AI tools to force us to comply with their will, and their agendas are very clear, right? And this is the solution. You know, the fiat system is so corrupt. People say money doesn't grow on trees. Well, fiat doesn't grow on trees, but real wealth grows on trees. In fact, one more thought I want to just to show you the insane abundance of a natural system. See the seed right here? This one seed within 3 or 4 years can produce 1 million fruits. Think about that.
Incredible. Jim, the last topic I want to touch on today is something that you and I are also very passionate about. We don't want people to just see these solutions and maybe not just even implement them, but for those who are looking to bring more purpose to their lives, and many are, and doing something that's worthwhile, like you're doing every day, you are inviting them into an ambassador program. And here's the incredible thing. Usually you hear about these huge buy-ins and the MLM structure and all that BS, like you say. But with Food Forest Abundance, it's really quite straightforward. Your cost of becoming an ambassador is exactly $0 and 0 cents. And what the ambassador program is really about is helping spread the message, but creating wealth and abundance in the process for everyone who gets involved. How can people do that? How can they become part of what I call the Food Forest Millionaires Club?
Yes, I love that. True wealth. So while you have the link as a cooperative or ambassador partner of ours, I'd say follow the link here on the show notes, and then just sign up. And then when you sign up, you can also join us on social media and Telegram and all these different platforms where we solve each other's problems. When we have problems, we do the best we can. For instance, if there's a certain problem you have with a certain plant, you can take a little video or a picture of that. You can send it into one of our groups, and multiple people will respond and say, this is how you might want to solve that problem. Because together, that's how we win this epic battle, this war. Together, we support each other, we serve each other, and everybody wins.
That is so beautiful. And just to drive this point home and to make it clear, the vision is that over the next year or 2 or 3, we will have thousands of people who are ambassadors for growing food the right way, nature's way, but who are also making a wonderful living doing it, right? So, and as an ambassador, when people sign up for free, once again, they will get tools and they will learn. We're putting a program together, your team, and we're helping a little bit with some ideas, but putting a program together that will help people get educated so they can transport and they can push forward this beautiful idea and participate in the regenerative capitalism, right? Voluntary regenerative capitalism. So you are saying, if you help us bring this message out, and if people purchase a design plan or they purchase a Freedom Farm Academy or an installment, then you will participate in the earnings as well, right?
Absolutely. In fact, as a business model, the cooperative network, which is the network of installers here from Galt's Landing, from our Freedom Farm Academy, Cameron and Enrique and 2 different teams of people are out in the field. We've inspired over $400,000 worth of edible landscape installations already just around our community. It's a very good business model as well for anybody who wants to be in the business of helping their community be free.
That's wonderful. So Inspired Tribe, I encourage you to do 2 things. Number 1, most importantly, check out the link below. And if you feel inspired, book your free strategy session. That will give you a complete overview of your options, right? And then you can decide what's best for you, how to move forward. The second thing is, if you want to bring this kind of purpose into your life and also create income with that, then also sign up as an ambassador. We will soon start the educational program, regular calls, and really introduce you to the whole structure of food forest abundance and how you can bring this vision to the people. It's a beautiful thing. You'll become part of a family. We're not Jim and Christine and I and all the others at Food Forest Abundance. We're not business partners. We are a family, aren't we, Jim?
Yo, big time. We see the path, and we're doing everything in our power for our kids and our grandkids and our future great grandkids to bring about the solutions.
That is so beautiful. Jim, I'll give you the floor, and perhaps today you can address the candidates out there running for any kind of office right now. What is your message to them?
Well, I first like to say that historically speaking, I do not support the political system at all. But if a candidate were to speak to policies that would lead our world to freedom, then I would support that candidate, and then so would everybody else. In fact, I'll give for any potential candidates listening to this, here's a platform that will win you every ethical vote and change the world. If a senior candidate for the president of the United States did exactly this, they went into the prisons and they shared with the world from the prison what would happen if the prisoners, every prison in the United States started implementing the permaculture principles and growing their own food, and then creating the knowledge for the inmates so when they got out of prison, they could help the world transform into life. That the optics and the function of that strategy would be incredible. Then the candidate would go to a city park, and around the candidate, there might be an imam and a priest and a rabbi, along with the people that live around that city park. And they build a food forest, a edible landscape at that city park, and demonstrate and talk about how this would solve the issues of the people that live in that area who do not have access to nutrient-dense food. Right? Imagine the optics and the function of that campaign strategy. Then they went to a school and they campaigned at a school with all the kids around, and they talked about the poisons in the school lunches and in the school land. And they said, let's take the poisons out and let's help the kids grow their own food as part of their education, as part of the opposite of indoctrination, right? Now imagine what that would do if at the highest level of governmente, they advocated for freedom, we would all jump on board.
Oh, how beautiful, Jim. And to all those in the political arena, for example, watching right now, we currently, in this beautiful movement that Jim has started and built, we have some of the finest physicians, we have some of the finest military leaders, educators, influencers, and they're all on board seeing this vision as a wonderful, comprehensive solution. You are literally stepping into a zone of solutions for all your political problems. So use the link below and get in touch with Jim and his team. By the way, Jim, what's a good way to follow you on social media? Where can people keep up with you?
Food Forest Abundance on Telegram and all sorts of socials. We've been kicked off of a few platforms.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, yes, but Food Forest Abundance, it's getting out everywhere, and we're collaboration. We design collaboration into the whole model, so we want to collaborate with everybody.
I love it, brother. Please follow Jim and his team everywhere. Thank you so much, brother. So much love to you, to God's Landing. I can't wait to see you very soon. Oh, you have something cool coming up this weekend. We'll try to air it in time, hopefully. But what's happening this weekend at God's Landing, regardless if we can get it in time or not?
Oh, I'm so excited. Dr. Christiane Northrup and George Lewis and Lynette and a bunch of people are coming here to sign affidavits, to bring in doctors and professionals and scientists. And they've already signed, I believe, over 4,000 affidavits from these professional people saying that the narrative and the agenda that we see all over the mainstream media is a lie. It's a beautiful thing. And we want to have more of these events. And we've had many already. We want to have many more at Galt's Landing here.
Thank you, brother, for everything you do. Much love to you. As always, wonderful to have you. And Inspire Tribe, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll be back with you again very, very soon. People ask me every day, Jean, with everything that's going on in the world, what can I do? My answer, start growing your own food. It's the best investment for your future and the future of your family. Whether you live in an apartment or have your own land, our friends at Food Forest Abundance will guide you every step of the way. Book your free consultation right now, no strings attached. Just click the link down below and get started today.